Today we are going to learn how can you record multiplication. We are basically going to be doing what we were doing yesterday with the box version, but this time we are not going to use the box. Let's read the question. Marcia put 7 oranges and 8 apples into each of 12 bags. How many pieces of fruit did Monica put into all of the bags? First of all, let's underline our question. We want to find out how many pieces of fruit Monica put into the bags. Well, if she used apples and oranges, that is 2 different types of fruit. So first of all, we have to figure out how many fruits she has. So we need to add 7 plus 8, and we get that Marcia put 15 pieces of fruit in each of 12 bags. So now we need to multiply 15 times 12 to find out how many pieces of fruit are in each of the 12 bags. If we look up here at the grid, this is exactly what we did yesterday. They have separated 15 into 10 and 5, and they separated 12 into 10 and 2. When they multiplied 10 times 10, which is 100, then 10 times 5, which is 50, then 2 times 10, which is 20, and 2 times 5, which is 10. Then they just added all the partial products. We are going to show that in a new way today. So I'm going to write down 15 times 12 using an algorithm. First, we're going to multiply just the ones, kind of like what we talked about yesterday. So first, we're going to multiply 2 times 5. And I know that 2 times 5 is 10, so I'm going to write down 10 over here. And to get 10, I just multiplied 2 times 5. Next, we are going to multiply our 2 times the 1 over here, but this one is actually worth 10. So now we are going to multiply 10 times 2. And 2 times 10 is 20. Now we're going to multiply our tens place from the bottom. So in step 3, we're going to multiply this 1. But this one is not really worth 1. It is worth 10. So we're going to multiply 10 times 5. And 10 times 5 is 50. Finally, for the last step, we are going to multiply 10 times this one, which is also worth 10. So 10 times 10. And 10 times 10 is 100. Now we have all of our partial products, and we can add them up. So in our ones place, we get a 0. In our tens place, we get an 8. And in our hundreds place, we get a 1. 15 times 12 equals 180 pieces of fruit. All I just did was come up with the multiplication problems for the partial products without using the box. If you are confused, you are still welcome to use the box. In the bottom of the page, they have the convince me. It wants us to write the partial products in each rectangle of the aerial model. And what is the final product? Remember that a product is an answer to a multiplication problem. With this problem, they actually went ahead and provided the box for you. We're going to fill in the numbers in the box, and then we're going to put the partial products down on the bottom. Please do the partial products part in your notebook. Let's start off with the box. We have 26 times 12. With 26, we have it broken apart into 20 and 6, and then for 12, 10 and 2. First multiply 10 times 20, which you would get 200. Then multiply 10 times 6, and you would get 60. Down in the blue box, we're going to multiply 2 times 20 and get 40. And in our last box, we're going to multiply 2 times 6 and get 12. Those are our partial products. So then all we would have to do is add them up to get the final product. Now let's try doing it on the bottom. Let's start with our ones place. Always start with the bottom number in the ones place. Right now we have a 2. So first we're just going to multiply 2 times 6. And 2 times 6 is 12. That is going to be our first partial product. Next, we're going to multiply our 2 times this 2. But this 2 is actually 20. So we are going to multiply 2 times 20 and get 40. And I will write down what we did for the first one over here. We did 2 times 6. For our next partial product, we're going to start with the tens place on the bottom. So this one is actually worth 10. So we are going to multiply 10 times 6. And we would get 60. And last, we're going to multiply the tens place, which is a 1, which happens to be a 10 again, by this 10, which actually stands for 20. So 10 times 20 is 200. Our partial products match. We have 200, we have 60, we have 40, and we have 12. So if we add all of these up, 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 1 more is 11, regroup, we get 312. So our final product is 312. Let's do the guided practice together. Number 1. In the example on the previous page, why do we find 2 times 10 rather than 2 times 1? On the previous page, we did 15 times 12. So the reason why we found 2 times 10 rather than 2 times 1 is because first we had to find 2 times 5, which is 10. Then they're asking, why did we do 2 times 10 and not 2 times 1? Well, the reason why we did 2 times 10 is because this one right here really represents a 10, not a 1. Number 2. In the example on the previous page, could you record the 4 partial products in a different order? Explain. Yes, you absolutely could. Because of the commutative property of addition, it does not matter what order that you add the numbers in. They can be added in any order as long as you have all of them. Please write this in your math notebook. Number 3, 23 times 14. Sorry if you hear my kids upstairs. They're screaming at each other over candy. First, let's multiply the ones place. We have 3 times 4. And 3 times 4 is 12. Next, we're going to multiply the 4 times this 2. But this 2 is really 20. So we're going to multiply 4 times 20. And 4 times 20 is 80. Next, we're going to multiply this 1, which is really a 10. So 10 times 3, which is 30. And last, we're going to multiply the 1, which is really a 10, times the 2, which is really a 20. So 10 times 20 is 200. Then we're going to add up all of our partial products. So we will get a 2 here, a 12, regroup your 1, so 322. Number 4, I'm going to write down here so it's easier to see. We have 41 times 25. First, start by multiplying your ones place. So we have 5 times 1, which equals 5. I'll write it down here so it's easier to see. Next, we're going to multiply our 5 times our tens place on the top. So we have 5 times this 4 is actually worth 40. And 5 times 4 is 20 plus a 0, so you would get 200. Next, we're going to multiply our tens on the bottom. So this is really 20. So 20 times 1, which is 20. And last, we're going to multiply this 2, which is really 20, times this 4, which is really 40. So 20 times 40, 2 times 4 is 8, so we have 800. Then all you need to do is add up the partial products. So you would get 1,025. Go ahead and do numbers 5 through 8, and then also number 12 on page 209. On page 210, do numbers 15 and 16, and then come show me. Make sure you go ahead and try a few of them, and then if you're still having a lot of trouble and you can't understand what you're doing, please come see me.